Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 2 minutes. Please turn off all electronic devices or place them on silent. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the 2021 Veterans Day ceremony. I am Captain Robert Powers, Assistant Professor of Military Science. On behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Jones and the Patriot Battalion, we thank all of our veterans for their service and attendance in today's ceremony. Please rise for the entrance of the official party. From right to left, representing the Rhode Island National Guard, Assistant Chief of Staff Major Jared Rickey. Today's guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel retired Kelly LaCrosse, Global Enterprise Senior Customer Success Manager at Microsoft Corporation. Lieutenant Colonel Tyler Jones, Professor of Military Science at Providence College. Today's cadet speaker, Cadet Geraldine Miceli, Brown University Class of 23, and Father Ariate Andujar, an Associate Dean of Admission at Providence College and the Patriot Battalion Chaplain. Please remain standing for the invocation given by Father Andujar and the singing of the National Anthem by Michael Damaris.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, as we gather on this Veterans Day ceremony, we praise you for the wonders of your creation, for declaring it good, and for the love and mercy you have shown all of us. We gather to remember the living men and women of all our military branches who serve our country in a time of war and conflict, particularly those who are associated with the Patriot Battalion. We are mindful of those who are recently returned from the war, and for those currently still serving in areas of conflict. We are indeed grateful for their service and their sacrifice. May we keep these things sacred, the sacrifices in our hearts. The defense of freedom for their loved ones, for their country, and the values which they hold dear are reasons for which they serve. We reflect on the solemn pride of the heroism of these men and women. We thank you and thank them for all they have done. May the freedom provided by them, help America to show her sympathy and peace, as well as justice, in the forum of Earth's nations. We ask these in your name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please take your seats. At this time, please help me welcome Patriot Battalion's Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Tyler Jones.
Thank you, Robert. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Provost Reed, distinguished guests, veterans, and friends of the Patriot Battalion. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. Today we honor veterans, the nation's veterans whose service and sacrifice have allowed us to enjoy the many comforts we often take for granted. We observe Veterans Day on an anniversary, not of a great battle or the beginning of a war, but of a day when war ended and our nation was again at peace. Ever since that Armistice Day over 100 years ago, this day has been a day to remember our debt to all who have worn a United States military uniform. I would like to thank the leadership of this college for their support of this event and their support of our ROTC program. Also, I want to thank the college's Office of Institutional Advancement for partnering with us on this ceremony and reception today. A special thanks to Ms. Stephanie Miracu, Mr. Patrick Walker, and Ms. Sarah Ferretto of that office, and to Ms. Donna Cairo of our ROTC office for the great effort to make this significant event happen. As with last year, we feel a particular void in the Patriot Battalion on this day as we remember the man who took care of so many things and carried such a vast institutional knowledge. During this ceremony last year, we were able to formally honor and remember Sergeant Major Gary Fortunato. And I'm grateful for an opportunity to continue his remembrance today with a remarkable announcement. It is with great joy that I announce that Sergeant Major Fortunato was inaugurated into the U.S. Army Cadet Command Hall of Fame this year. He stands alone. He stands alone in this organization as the only non-commissioned officer to ever be admitted into this elite group. At this time, I'll present the plaque and the certificate of his Hall of Fame induction to his wife, Carol, and daughter, Judy. Carol and Judy, if you could, please. Thank you again, Carol and Judy, for joining us today and helping us remember your father and your husband. I would like to continue the ceremony today with a moment to recognize the service of the veterans who are present with us. The veterans here represent the millions of American men and women who understand selfless service. They decided to serve even though they knew their service could cost them their lives. These veterans embody the ideals of duty, honor, and country. On behalf of the Providence College community, I ask all veterans to rise at this time. Please join me in thanking these men and women for their example of dedication to our country. Thank you. And in addition to the men and women who have served our great nation who are present today, I would be remiss not to remember and acknowledge the service of the families of our veterans and service members. Without the support of those on the home front, our men and women in uniform would not be able to do what we do. Spouses deal with long deployments and extended work weeks. Children endure all of the adjustments that come with repetitively calling new places home. And extended family members are often forced to settle with staying connected via FaceTime. Please join me in a round of applause for our military families. I am proud to serve this great nation, and I feel blessed to serve in this post, where I'm reminded daily not just of the great sacrifice of those who have gone before me, but of also of those who will follow. The cadets standing before us, they impress me regularly with their dedication, their work ethic, and their integrity and their selfless service. These values will serve them well in the years to come as they answer their call to serve their country. Cadets, you look great today. As always, thanks for being here, not that you had any choice. And thank you all for what you do and your service and your future service to our country. It is my honor now to welcome and introduce one of these fine cadets. Her name is Cadet Geraldine Miceli. She is currently a junior at Brown University, where she's studying international and public affairs. She comes from a long line of military service, from her grandfather and father to her aunt and uncle, all of whom served in either the Army, the Marine Corps, or the Air Force. Geraldine is pursuing an active duty commission in military intelligence and hopes to have a branch detail in the field artillery. She hails from Raleigh, North Carolina. Her professionalism, dedication, physical fitness, along with her academic achievements, make her a standout cadet. I believe all in the formation would agree. Please welcome Cadet Geraldine Miceli. Geraldine.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, cadets, cadre, and all other friends of the Patriot Battalion and Providence College. World War I was the war to end all wars. After 4 years of brutal battle and carnage on a scale never before seen in human history, a peace treaty was signed in 1918 at the 11th hour of the 11th day on the 11th month. That exact day, November 11th, was known and commemorated as Armistice Day, and in 1954, it was changed to Veterans Day. It is the day that we have chosen to honor and celebrate all those who have served our nation in times of great crisis. Historians consider World War I to be a major turning point in military history. It is where the ancient rules of conflict collided violently with modern machines of death and destruction. But as we all know, the peace did not last, and the world was plunged once again into even greater conflict in World War II. And it was there that the tools and tactics of modern warfare were proven to even deadlier effect. From those dark days, and indeed from the days of our nation's conception, millions of men and women have chosen to wear the uniform of the American Armed Services. We who stand here today do so because of their sacrifice and commitment to duty. We, the cadets of the Patriot Battalion, and thousands of cadets nationwide, will soon be making that same choice, that same bold decision to put on the proud uniform of our nation. Guided and inspired by our officers and cadre, we are being prepared to lead in a new era and at another major inflection point in the progress of armed conflict. The old paradigm and apparatus of warfare is once again running head-on into new territory where the rules are different and the outcome is even more frightening and deadly. Modern technology will make the battles of tomorrow as new and initially devastating to us as artillery and machine gun fire was to the 9th Lancer Horse Cavalry in August of 1914. And while the days of trench warfare are behind, tomorrow's conflict requires us to change our understanding of how we win wars. Like officers in every U.S. conflict, we will be called upon to make decisions and lead America's sons and daughters into a new threat landscape. Faced with threats that seek to undermine the very foundation of our democracy, we must think with new creativity. Our posture is strong when our allies are strong and trust our commitment. As officers, we are the front lines of this commitment. We will be leading soldiers into conflict where raw, ferocious firepower does not guarantee victory. We will see conflict where tremendous destruction can be inflicted instantaneously and without warning. Our wars may even be waged by and against weapons that act outside the bounds of human reason and judgment. In such conflicts, a haze settles on the battlefield and must be cut through with unwavering commitment to our values and sacred duty. As leaders, we know that this conflict landscape is constantly evolving, and we are preparing for these inflection points. But we also know that the mission remains the same as it has for centuries. It is our job to keep our nation and our fellow citizens safe from harm. And we take tremendous pride in knowing that we walk in brave footsteps. The millions of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who have come before us have blazed a path of steadfast courage and personal honor. The methods and mechanics of war have changed, but there remains one critical constant, one unchanging reality. Whenever we are faced with harm, there will be people who step up, stand tall, and say, "Send me, I will go." And that is what Veterans Day is all about. It is a time to honor the sacrifice of those who have stood up for our nation's values. Men and women whose brilliant courage rises above the grim reality of war and brings forward the best qualities of mankind. Soldiers in all forms who put their lives on the line for millions of people that they will never know. Whether they have served for 40 years or 40 days, their boldness and willingness to share that burden deserves our heartfelt thanks and appreciation. Somewhere in the world today, an American soldier stands ready, alert, focused, and prepared to act to defend us all. They stand with the spirits of their brothers and sisters who stood at that same post with that same mission for over 250 years. That is the ideal that we hold in our hearts. It is why we have come together today to honor and celebrate. And that is the courage and bravery of the men and women who wear the uniform. We salute their spirit, we commend their commitment to duty, and we honor their sacrifice. It is because of them that we are here. It is because of them that America, despite all its troubles and imperfections, remains the greatest nation in the world and a beacon of hope to billions. And in conclusion, we all know in our hearts that a single day of remembrance is insufficient payment for this debt. We say thank you for your service, but they don't do it for thanks. They do it because that is who they are. If you really take the time to reflect on their inspiring courage and commitment, you could very rightly conclude that every day should be Veterans Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cadet Miceli. Today's guest speaker is a proud veteran of the United States Army and distinguished military graduate of the Patriot Battalion and Providence College alum, class of '84. She currently works as a Global Enterprise Senior Customer Success Manager at Microsoft Corporation and has served in previous management and technology, sales, and business process roles at organizations including Cisco Systems, Aspect Software, and ROM Communications. Her notable and robust career experience also includes over 20 years of service in the regular Army and Reserves as a finance officer, serving in various roles including general staff and company commands. Please give a warm welcome to Lieutenant Colonel retired Kelly LaCrosse.
What a beautiful day. Good afternoon, Father Airy, distinguished guests, fellow veterans, cadets, alumni, and friends. What does Veterans Day mean to you? I think for most of us, including myself, it's a day to remember those who fought for, who cared for, who brought comfort and relief, and readily sacrificed their time, their energy, and at times their lives so that we could feel safe, secure, and free. For me, it's also a day of reflection, to reflect on my military career and the impact that it had on my life. A career that was founded on a growth mindset. As you heard, I currently work at Microsoft, and we have a culture that promotes a growth mindset. We define a growth mindset as a positive and forward thinking that embraces every misstep as a learning opportunity as opposed to a failure. It's an open-minded perspective that encourages improvement, which leads to success. And this growth mindset has been the foundation of three primary components that have shaped my life: my military career, my civilian career, and most importantly, my family. I grew up in Massachusetts, not far from here, in the middle of 5 kids. And for any middle children out there, you know that we are the ultimate peacekeepers. We're independent, we're comfortable being alone. We actually like being alone at times. We like to fly low under the radar, and we find creative ways to get attention. That was my favorite. My parents taught me the meaning of a strong work ethic, determination, perseverance, motivation. I held multiple jobs while I was in high school. My junior year alone, I had 3 jobs. I also participated in sports at the same time, school activities, and obviously focused on my studies. Did I tell you my parents taught me time and organization management? That was key. But most importantly, I remember that there was one word in our house that was not allowed, and the word was can't. If we said it, my mother was there in a heartbeat to say, but you can try, which at times drove me crazy. They also taught me kindness, compassion, empathy, and appreciation. These attributes, coupled with a growth mindset, really molded me for a career that I had never even considered, and experiences that I could never have ever imagined. I entered Providence here in 1980 as a pre-med major with the dream of becoming a brain surgeon. I had always been fascinated by the brain and what it can do. Even as a child, when I was 9 years old, I would sit in my bedroom at my little desk with my typewriter, for those who remember what typewriters are, and I would write these scientific white papers. And it was basically just me typing, information from the encyclopedia. I even won the 5th grade science fair on the brain, and I beat out all the boys to boot. And that was a big deal because it was 1972, and it wasn't just because I got my picture in the newspaper. It was because that was the year the Equal Rights Amendment was passed, and only 1 year after women were accepted at Providence College. My first life-changing learning opportunity while at PC was organic chemistry. This was a really tough class. So much so that on the first day, I walked into class, we all sat down, the professor came in. It was over at Albertus Magnus, I remember, because I broke out in a cold sweat earlier today when I drove by there. And he said, 2/3 of you by the end of the semester are going to be gone. That lit a fire under me. I was determined that I was going to pass this class no matter what. I studied and I studied and I struggled and I struggled. Things were not looking good, and by God's good grace, he showed me the meaning of insanity. Banging my head against the wall, repeatedly trying for a different outcome in this class. And I wasn't going anywhere. Organic chemistry broke me. And it ended my dream of becoming a brain surgeon. But this was one of the greatest learning opportunities that would send my life in a completely different direction. You know, they say that with every door that closes, another one opens. And that's exactly what happened to me, literally. One night while I was in McVinney Hall, I lived on the 4th floor up there, a friend of mine knocked on the door. Her name was Kathleen Moffat. And Kathleen was an ROTC cadet here in the program. And she invited me to go on a training exercise in Narragansett. And you gotta know Kathleen. She was crazy. I loved her. She was so much fun. So I figured, well, you know what? If Kathleen thinks it's fun, sure, I'm up for it. This is gonna be fun, right? So I went. I had nothing to lose. When we arrived in Narragansett, they loaded us up on helicopters, which was really exciting because I'd never been on a helicopter before. And off we went. We were told that when we landed, we'd have to exit the aircraft smartly, run up to the beach, and take our positions. I had no clue as to what they were talking about. I thought I was just on for a fun ride. As soon as the boots hit the ground, all hell broke loose. Sorry, Father. There was smoke everywhere, yelling, screaming, gunfire, things popping all over the place, and that was just the first few minutes of the weekend. But by the end of the weekend, I had been challenged like never before. And I made new friends, actually, that would last long after graduation and followed me into the Army. But most importantly, it gave me a deep sense of belonging. I felt real meaning and purpose in my life. I eventually majored in finance and was awarded a 3-year Army ROTC scholarship. I held a leadership position on the senior cadet staff and graduated Distinguished Military Graduate. And in 1984, I was commissioned in the regular Army as a finance officer. That misstep, called organic chemistry, was a critical learning opportunity that launched an amazing career for me. And by the way, it got my parents' attention too, especially my father, who was a Navy man. My first assignment was at Fort Benning, home of the infantry. I was the only female finance officer on a post of 18,000 men. I was definitely an anomaly. I got a lot of confused stares. I was repeatedly called sir. And at times, unfortunately, I experienced disregard and disdain. But the pros far outweighed those cons. I had incredible mentors and incredible opportunities to grow and succeed. I led 2 different joint military finance operations in the Middle East, company command, and I proudly earned my airborne wings. After 4 years on active duty, that middle child in me, however, started rumbling. I needed to do something different. But I absolutely loved the Army. I would never give it up. It was part of my DNA now. So I got the best of both worlds by joining the Army Reserves and creating a new civilian career for myself. But it wasn't until I started my civilian career that my second life-altering learning opportunity occurred. My first civilian job was as a trust manager at the now-defunct Bank of New England. I lasted a long 3 months. I knew very quickly that the finance sector was not for me. I found my niche in the high-tech industry and have been working in there for the past 33 years. And the tech industry, as you know, is really fast-paced. It moves at lightning speed. It's always changing and you can never get comfortable, which I like because it constantly pushes me to learn new ways of working smarter, new perspectives, and new ways to help others succeed. The third and greatest opportunity that changed my life resulted in meeting my husband, Jeff, and eventually starting a family. Before I met Jeff, I had a great career. I had a house, a car, money in the bank, good friends. I was all set. One night, my sister asked me, begged me, to go to a function with her. I was not in the mood. I was in a nasty attitude. I just didn't want to go. But being the good sister that I am, I agreed, and I went. And that was the opportunity that presented itself. I met Jeff. And over the years, Jeff's helped me show the many opportunities to learn and grow as a best friend, as a wife, and as a mother. And I can tell you, I think all the parents here will agree, parenting requires the ultimate growth mindset. As a matter of fact, my two daughters that are in their 20s right now, Tara and Kate, would be more than happy to share with you my learning moments as a working mother. But I was also able to instill unique lessons in them from my life in the military, which I believe has helped them become two incredibly strong, confident, self-sufficient young women, making their mark on the world today and making me proud every day. In closing, I direct my final message to you, the future leaders here today. Don't be afraid to embrace a growth mindset. God will supply you with the opportunities as He did for me. You will fail, but with every misstep, as Sun Tzu said, the opportunities will multiply. It's up to you to do something with these learning opportunities, something unique, something impactful, that require a sacrifice on your part so that others can succeed, live in peace, and be free. Thank you for this incredible opportunity to speak with you, and for this, I am truly honored and grateful.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel LaCrosse. At this time, Cadet Miceli will present a gift from the Patriot Battalion.
Thank you so much. That's great. Can I look at it? It's just a little bit of something? Oh, wow. Oh, thank you so much.
Of course,
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Let's give it another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction given by Father Andahar and remain standing for the singing of the Army song and the exit of the official party.
Let us bow our heads. Ever-loving and merciful God, may your name be praised. You pour forth your blessings in abundance upon our country. For these we thank you and beseech you that you continue to do so. As we conclude our gathering here today, we particularly ask your special blessings on all of our veterans and their families. May we not lose sight of the sacrifices which they endured. Grant healing where it is needed. Give them the time and the help to heal. Grant protection to all our men and women who still serve our country, now with honor and valor. You who are wisdom, bless and guide all who are in positions of authority to lead our country. Assist all who strive for peace and justice. In this month of remembrance of those who served, we ask you, O merciful God, to bring them into your presence, especially those who have fallen and served our country. Bless all who are here present, and we ask your mercy and loving kindness as we bring these petitions before you. In your holy name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. We are hosting a follow-on reception located downstairs here in the chapel in the Campus Ministry Center that you are more than welcome to join. Thank you for attending. Go Friars.